Did Seth Rollins manage to beat the Beast Brock Lesnar? For Smart Week, I'm Chase.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Jonko.
And this is our SummerSlam 2019 review. So, I'll start off by saying that this show, we're not going to get into whether or not Seth Rollins won just yet. But this show was pretty surprising. This isn't the best pay-per-view that I've ever seen from WWE, but this is definitely not the worst pay-per-view that I've seen from WWE.
It's a very average, above average even.
But it feels like an on-the-way-up pay-per-view, which sucks for a SummerSlam. It's their second biggest show of the year. Well, I guess it depends on who you ask, but it's one of their big four, regardless.
It's the biggest party of the summer.
There's definitely the biggest party of the summer.
There's no discounting that.
Because nobody else is claiming that. Generally, if you have the best something, you don't have to tell anyone. They just know.
True.
But man, this show is definitely an on-the-way-up show. I think they did a lot of things well, including a lot of things that I didn't think they were going to do, to be honest. I thought they were going to fuck some of this stuff up, and overall, not a bad show.
There was literally something that I went on a rant about, sort of why this thing would not happen, that they actually ended up doing, and I was like, that's weird. They maybe the first time I've ever seen them do that. What does this mean? I'm scared now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but we'll definitely touch on that.
How dare you use good ideas? Man, but
what is this logic bullshit?
Yeah, we're not used to it in WWE. Luckily, there are still some things that I fucking hated, so I can still be a little mad. But we'll get to that. First things first, we'll run through the pre-show. None of us watched the pre-show, full disclosure. The pre-show generally doesn't have anything of worth, although I will say there are a couple of moments that were definitely worth seeing on this pre-show. Another surprise. We'll run it down real quick and just kind of skim through that. First match that we get is Oney Lorcan versus Drew Gulak. Gulak. I keep saying Gulak, but it's definitely Gulak.
Gulak.
Both of them are great wrestlers. I'm sure it was a good match. Drew Gulak retained. Great. Honestly, this match was probably kept super short, and they probably did picture-in-picture for either ads or promos for half the match, so probably wasn't worth watching just because of that. You don't actually get to see half the match. By the way, if that is correct, please comment down below, because I would love to be right about that. Again, I need things to hate. I need it. It fuels me. Yeah, so we'll keep going. After that, we get Buddy Murphy versus Apollo Crews. Yay! Two more.
The match is inconsequential, right?
Yeah, it means nothing. As soon as they put Buddy Murphy on the pre-show, you're like, oh, this is a Roman Reigns thing. Because Buddy Murphy, before being attached to Roman Reigns, got this much TV time. Yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So this was just one great big, who cares? But at the end, of course, Rowan, being name dropped on SmackDown, comes out, attacks Murphy, says, keep your name out of my mouth, or keep my name out of your mouth. Keep your name out of my mouth, Buddy Murphy. And then he beats him. He's like, you did it again! Yeah, keep my name out of your mouth. And then, of course, they cut back, and you see Drew, or Daniel Bryan, watching from the camera, or watching from a monitor.
Yeah.
This is still happening, so that's cool. Daniel Bryan is a criminal, and he tried to kill Roman Reigns with a car and drop a bunch of shit on him. At this point, the evidence is damning. You don't have to be Phoenix Wright to put these clues together. Yeah, just arrest him.
So, for one, though, snitches get stitches.
And end up in ditches. Yeah, that's a very common thing I've seen in regards to this match.
How long before the exploding limo? Like, how long do you have before
the exploding limo?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's coming, right?
Hey, let me tell you, I hope not. Because last time they did it, one of my favorite wrestlers murdered their family. So, I don't. Yeah. The next one is Edge. Edge is my favorite wrestler now. Like, please don't. Jesus, I can't take that. I don't need that in my life.
No, I was saying it before. I like the storyline. It's silly. It's not that great, but it has my attention. I'm not like going out of my way to view things, but if I see it, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This is a different angle for the Roman Reigns character, and I'm all about that.
I
I'm
like the who done it with Roman Reigns. The problem is the props falling over on him looked cheesy, and he was clearly
Yeah.
fine underneath. Because they had 17 camera angles to show you he was fine, and only one where it looked bad. Um, and then the
And they
car
had the
thing,
driver cam.
yeah, the car thing. Like when they first did it, I was like, all right, cool, that's good, that's what it needs to be. And then when they replayed it on SmackDown, there's a fucking camera attached to the car that hit him. And I thought the same thing. I tweeted out because I'm not as funny as the person I'm going to reference. I tweeted out like, way to ruin the angle that you had. Like you had 24 hours to decide not to do this, and you did it anyway. But Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful tweeted out. He said, "If you're still trying to figure out who hit Roman with the car, just figure out whose car you attached your camera to." And I was like, man, yeah, this is so stupid.
I saw the thread that you're talking about, and there was also someone who tweeted out a picture of this dude with a helmet on with like 13
like
GoPros
17
attached to
cameras
it.
on. He said the guy that hit Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Oh,
like super
man.
cheesy. But I mean, I think that WWE needs to take a hard look at their production in general. We'll get to it a little more later. But they are ruining good storylines by overproducing them. This is one of them, I think.
And I don't know whose idea it was to use so many cameras, but you literally need one camera guy following the action as it's happening. Have a guy trailing Roman Reigns because there's about to be an interview. Why wouldn't the guy be with Roman Reigns? And then have the shit fall over on him. And from that one camera angle, it looks dangerous. Let it look dangerous. Don't screw yourself over. Also, here's a crazy thought. Don't make the shit live. Why make it live? Because then if you fuck up, you can just do it again.
Yep.
These backstage segments don't need to be that way.
Here's the thing, unless I'm mistaken, which is even more confusing, is and I believe it was maybe Ryan Satin that said it. I'd have to go back and check. I didn't know we were going to get into it, or I would have done my research. But I think they said this was a pre-tape, which is even more bad.
Oh my god! If that's the case, that pisses me off so bad. Yeah, that's big fucking.
I'm pretty
oof.
sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read that it was. And now this is the perfect example of why I don't watch the weekly programming for WWE. I don't consider NXT weekly because it's pre-taped. But like I follow Twitter, I follow the recaps. I'll try to watch the show, the pay-per-views if I can. But right now, even with Heyman have taken over, I still am waiting for a reason for me to tune in, and they haven't given me personally a big enough reason yet because it's still the same old shit.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely still hints of WWE in it, but I will say it has gotten better. I watched probably the last 2 weeks of tapings just because I needed some clue of what my predictions were going to be. Because I refused to lose again, and as you saw, that didn't pay off.
But and you make a really good point. I agree with you. Like you say, it's gotten better. I definitely agree. But that's like when you're having explosive diarrhea. The first time you take a solid shit, you're like, oh man, like thank God that wasn't
thank
explosive.
God, yeah.
So but they're definitely. I think
the point here.
I think they're trending in the right direction. It's poop. It's still poop, but it's not as much poop.
Speaking of stuff that's the shit.
There we go.
The next segment is Edge spearing the shit out of Elias.
Fucking segue king over here.
Which is awesome.
Chase, did you mark out?
Dude, when I saw the clip, I did. Because the thing is, like, I know that he can still do moves, but he just can't take bumps. So to see my favorite wrestler of all time do anything, even though he's clearly, like, he's not in ring shape anymore. He's still very healthy. But he's not in ring shape, so he's a lot thinner. You can tell he's not all like he's not like Hollywood blonde anymore. His hair is a lot more natural, but he's still very much Edge in his persona and who he is. Even seeing him hit the turnbuckle and like he pounded it like 3 times and then threw the hands up, I lost it for that, dude. So for him to hit the spear before all that, I was very happy. This alone made me wish that I watched the pre-show so I could see it live. Because again, in my mind, he is and will always be the greatest wrestler. Somebody may come along and dethrone him, but as of right now, and since I was young, like Edge has been my favorite wrestler. So super stoked for that. That's what you get, Elias. Quit doing the same fucking promos every week and on pay-per-views.
Yeah.
At least they saved this for the pre-show, though. Edge or not, this did not belong on the main card. I'm glad it was on the pre-show. Next up, women's tag team title match. The Iconics versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I've actually heard that this was good. I did not know that this was going to be on the pre-show, or I probably would have watched it. Again, I was out of town for a wedding whenever they announced this. This is the kind of thing that needs to be built beforehand, and they need to announce it on some kind of TV. Even if it's for the pre-show, why are people going to watch your pre-show if they don't know what the fuck is on it?
Yeah.
AEW is doing
100%.
such a good job with their buy-in shows, announcing, hey, this match that you're really looking forward to seeing, guess what? It's free on the pre-show. You get to watch this. Make people want to buy your show, because not everybody has a network. Or maybe you can convince somebody to sign up for the network that hasn't done so before by seeing the match. Because this stuff is, they air this on USA, right? Don't they air the pre-show on USA?
I don't think it's on. I don't think it's on USA. I know it's on YouTube.
It's definitely on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it's also on their website.
Yeah.
WrestleMania definitely. God, I don't know which one. Whenever Neville and
Austin Aries.
Yep, whenever they wrestled, that was definitely on USA because my brother texted me and was like, "What is this on blah blah blah?" And I'm like, "What? When did he get WWE Network?" So that definitely was on USA.
Yeah.
I don't know if this one was though.
I've heard that this was good. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross obviously retained. There's no reason for them not to, especially on a pre-show. That would be insane to just hand the titles right back to the Iconics 6 days later.
It's WWE though.
You're right. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like even that is outside of the realm of, because they clearly don't care about the Iconics. If they were if it was somebody else, they might pass it off. If like Sasha Banks made a return and Bayley is now tag team and women's champion, like I could see that, but definitely not with the Iconics. They could care less about the team. And what's sad is they're a great team. They're comedic, and honestly, they don't need to be good at wrestling. They need to cheat. They need to cheat like crazy, and they need to be good at it. And that's it. That's their whole thing, and they can get over as fuck if they did it right. On to the main card, the matches we actually did watch. First up, and I thought this was a really good match to put at the start of the card for a couple of reasons. One, Natalya is not a real threat yet, and I'll go into that in a little bit. But two, it is still Becky Lynch is super over, even though they're doing everything they can to make her less over. I'm terribly booking this shit. But Natalya versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's title. Sharpshooters for days, man. I really liked Natalya in this match. She doesn't need to talk. She's not great on the mic, but this thing she's doing in the ring, where she is being much more aggressive and finding all these ways to lock you into the sharpshooter and just fuck you up with a sharpshooter, that's the Natalya that I want to see. I thought that this match was a very good first going. If they can do what they did with her in this match, against some lesser opponents for the next couple of pay-per-views, or even over the next so many weeks on TV, let her win, and then let her come back at Becky. I think she could be a credible threat. We're just not there yet.
So it looks like this is a complete and total guess, but they showed the Night of Champions. Is it Night of Champions? Or
yeah, Night of Champions.
Yeah.
Night of Champions. They showed the video package, and I noticed that they had Natalya in it. So it may not be anything, but I immediately was like, well, there's her rematch with Becky, because that's the type of booking we get.
Yeah.
It's a rehash show.
That's me looking into the future. As far as this match, like you said, I thought it was a good opener. I really like the second rope sharpshooter a lot.
Yes.
I thought that looked really good. My biggest takeaway, though, which I wasn't necessarily surprised, but I think Becky got a bigger pop than Natty did, in
Oh,
her
definitely.
own home country, which I thought was really just speaks volumes to the level that Becky's over.
Well, I think it speaks volumes to the level that WWE has damaged Natalia.
Yeah,
Because at one point she was getting
that's
huge pops in her hometown, in anywhere in Canada, really. Um, but yeah, now they have a legit badass in the women's division to look up to, whereas Natalia used to manage Cesaro and Tyson Kidd when they were doing the, what was it, cats or puppies, but they had paw prints on their fucking ring gear.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Not a great not a great way to make someone look like a badass. I know that's a while back, but like that really didn't build her back up. She's done nothing.
Man, that was a damn good tag team, though.
She was Ronda Rousey's buddy. That's her most notable thing in recent history is being Ronda Rousey's friend.
She also had the gimmick where she couldn't stop farting, right?
Yeah.
Yup. That's real cool. That's a good way to get over. I also can't stop farting, so if you guys want to book me to beat Seth Rollins next month, I'll be there. But I only do it for at least 5 figures.
I'll do it for money.
Yeah, for money. Not even a specified amount because I am easy. But yeah, so I don't know. I want to add on to what Ethan said though with the second rope sharpshooter. The setup for it was great too, in my opinion. Where Becky went for the kick, Natalia caught it, stared at her, pulled it in, slammed the leg down on the rope, and then grabbed her and chucked her into the fucking turnbuckle. And then she was, because otherwise, how do you set that up? Like when I was watching her do
There's
it,
no
I was
other
like,
way to set it up.
Yeah, it's brilliant the way that she set it up because otherwise it looks contrived. Like Becky would have had to like somehow slither her way into the ropes, and that's how they would have done it. Like, but the way that she did it was perfect. She was already in position, and then when she got in there and was starting to climb the turnbuckle, I was like, "Hold on, what is she doing?" And she grabbed the legs, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like that is wonderful. That and then there was a spot where she had her in the sharpshooter in the middle of the ring, and Becky was trying to get out of the ring, and instead of letting go, she just hit her with a sharpshooter using the rope for leverage. I thought that was really good too, and that's the stuff that I'm talking about. If we can keep seeing that Natty, I think we can get a legit contender out of Natalia. She may never look strong enough to beat Becky, but damn if she can't go for a SmackDown Women's title.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was cool that they actually stuck to the whole rope breaks aren't a thing deal.
Thank God.
Like they mentioned it, and a lot of times they'll mention it, and then they'll still do rope breaks. There was one point where Natty was doing a sharpshooter while in the rope, and I thought it was interesting that she just dropped it. It was like, yeah, this actually takes something out of the person doing it as well.
Yeah.
So she just let it go and kind of regrouped herself, and I think she pulled Becky back into the middle of the ring, and I think that's when she went for the disarmer, which I gave kudos first. I will throw some shade now. I think it's absolutely jack shit crazy. I know it's like natural wrestling booking to have any sort of people that are known for submissions to do the other person's submission. Like, oh, it's a big slap in the face. That's kind of played out at this point, in my opinion.
And
it's up there with
it's not the only time they did it too.
No, that's the thing. And I mean, I know that basically anytime you get a match with two people who are known for having a submission finish, it's like, oh, and sometimes even when they're not. Like The Rock did the sharpshooter on I can't even remember who it was, but The Rock was known for doing that stupid shit too.
Well, The Rock did the sharpshooter on a lot of people. That was one of his
but that was after he was trying to establish it as his thing. But like when he first started doing it, it was a slight on somebody. It was someone else who, it may not have been a sharpshooter. It may have been another submission.
So you're right. He was in a submission match. I think it was against Kurt Angle actually, and he needed a submission for the match, and that's when he debuted the sharpshooter.
But like anytime, like I just, oh God, it's so corny and it's so heavy-handed and lazy. I think that's the point that I want to drive home is it's lazy. And
I think it's very contrived. It's definitely overused. I agree with you though. The whole stealing finishers thing in general, like, I feel like that's where you go when you don't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah. And like people who could get away with doing someone else's submission, Dean Malenko would have been a good one. Dean Malenko, I would have assumed that could have beaten anyone with anyone's hold because he was the man of 1,000 holds.
Yeah.
So,
like that, well, that Jericho is the man of 1,002 holds. So
that is true.
Yeah.
He had he did the armbar, the Boston Crab, the armbar.
Yeah.
Definitely. God, I love Jericho. Anyway, yeah, just wanted to drive that point home. It's kind of lazy, and I wish they'd stop doing it. But next match, we can move on if y'all are ready.
Yeah, the next match, man. Speaking of shit, fuck Goldberg. First and foremost, fuck Bill Goldberg with his old ass. Stop showing up. Like, I get why he shows up because they're willing to pay him so much, but this crowd chanting for him, like, you guys are the fucking problem.
Yeah, I had a big problem with that.
It's a huge waste. It's a huge waste of money. It's a huge waste of time. It's a huge waste of talent. Dolph Ziggler has clearly not been put in position to win matches. That is not my issue. My issue is that Dolph Ziggler could have been beaten by somebody on the main roster in the same way, and it would have helped. What does this do for anybody? Yeah. Dolph Ziggler now looks like he's not a credible threat. When somebody beats him, it does nothing now.
He looks less than a credible threat. He already wasn't a credible threat. Now it looks like, wow, you can't use him for
anything.
Well, he can't. So you've created a veteran that you can now not use to put anybody over. Why the fuck?
Yeah, he's got to basically disappear.
Yeah, he can't be on TV anymore. He does nothing.
My main issue. Did you hear Goldberg going up the ramp? Go, I'm back. Like, no, you're not. No, you're not fucking back, dude. You're not back at all.
Mine was more. Please don't be back. Please don't be back.
We're honestly not really going to even talk about this match because it wasn't a match. I don't care what the fuck you say. Him no-selling 2 super kicks is some straight bullshit. Him fucking coming back and just hitting jackhammers and spears and whatever. This is all he's good for. He's not a fucking wrestler. This is garbage. It's straight dog shit. It's a nostalgia fetish that WWE has fucking fed to you, and you are just shoveling it in your mouth. Stop. Fucking stop it.
Yeah. The only positive I can say here is, we talked about it in the preview show. They're on, he's on the redemption tour. This is his redemption from that awful match in Saudi Arabia. All right, now go away forever.
But he won't.
Just disappear. No, he won't. But I would love it if you would.
I honestly won't be surprised if we get a Brock versus Goldberg 3 or a fucking Brock versus Taker 2. They forget, like, that these matches are fucking doo-doo, and they're like, oh, we just want to sell tickets. So
it's Brock versus Goldberg at Survivor Series. They're each going to have their own team. And it's going to be Kurt Angle.
Don't you wish
Baron
that
Corbin.
evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Nah, dude, Baron Corbin is at least a current talent. It's going to be like Team WCW versus Team Ruthless Aggression. They're going to bring Sting back. He can't take any bumps, so he's just going to stand on the apron. And then the rest is going to be Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and X-Pac. Yeah, it's going to be real bad.
Look at that, man.
But this shit is garbage. Just stop. Don't chant for Goldberg because Goldberg hasn't done anything. This would have been a really good spot to put even Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman's already over, but why not have him come out and squash Dolph Ziggler? At least it'd be entertaining.
What about a little bit of EC3? Put EC3 over.
Do something.
Does he still exist?
Yeah, he holds a red Solo cup now, even though he's not part of the Street Profits. His gimmick is that he drinks a lot.
Even Miz. This match was originally teased to be Miz versus Dolph Ziggler. Have Miz come out and literally squash Dolph Ziggler.
That's gonna happen tonight.
Because this puts over the fact that Miz doesn't need to fight Dolph Ziggler. Miz is at this whole other level where Dolph Ziggler can't even compete with him. And then push Miz. Do literally anything with anybody except for these part-time fucks who show up, do this thing, get paid a ton of money, and then disappear. Bill Goldberg does not give a fuck about you as a fan.
Well, since we're piling on Goldberg, did y'all see all the Matt Riddle stuff? Because that was pretty interesting.
Did you see all the Jack Swagger stuff?
I did. I like that as well.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of this. Please elaborate.
So Matt Riddle has been talking shit to Goldberg for a while now.
Yeah.
It's kind of the ongoing thing. They're like, hey, man, maybe stop talking shit about legends. And Matt Riddle's like, Goldberg's not a fucking legend. Legends had to actually do some shit. Goldberg has always been a one-trick pony who's dangerous to everybody he works with.
I think it's really interesting too that they're doing this because you know that he's not doing it on his own because it wouldn't stay up. I mean,
I remember when Matt Riddle got signed, he got some of this stuff pre-approved. He was like, "Hey, I'll only sign if I have freedom over my social media," because he is the way that he is, and he knows that. Also, the 420 stuff, he's like, "Hey, I'm not going to stop doing it." Matt Riddle's a special exception.
If you saw him last night at the viewer party, whatever the hell it's called, you could tell he didn't stop doing it, dude.
Yeah,
that dude was lit,
fucking stoned. But again, I think he got that stuff approved, so I think all that stuff is on his own. But I'm sure there's some kind of guideline they agreed on beforehand. Like, hey, you can't absolutely bury current talent. I think because Goldberg is a part timer and he's technically not a wrestler anymore, or never was a wrestler really. But I think he is allowed to do those things because of Goldberg's status.
But basically, John Co, what happened was they bumped into each other backstage. But specifically, he said Goldberg like plowed into him and he was like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" And Goldberg was basically like, "I'm not your bro," and he was like, "All right," just like they had like an exchange. But they said that it was super awkward, whether or not it was like legit or not. They said that the entire thing was super awkward.
Well, I mean, yeah. Even if someone signed off on it, I guarantee you Goldberg wasn't the one that signed off on it.
Yeah.
Now the Jack, what is it, Jack Hager? Is that what he's going by now?
It's Jack Swagger. Yeah, we all know.
No, it's Jack Swagger.
That stuff was pretty good.
But Jack Swagger was talking about how people shouldn't give their fucking. He basically just said what I just said. But he was much more opinionated about it. He was talking about how people shouldn't give their money to the piece of shit wrestlers like Bill Goldberg. And people were like, "Whoa, Bill Goldberg would knock you out in under 10 seconds in an MMA fight." And he's like, "Bill Goldberg can't even do a single spot. You think he's gonna catch me in an MMA ring?" And it was just a whole lot of him talking legitimate shit about how terrible Bill Goldberg is. He was like, "I would rather see them give that kind of paycheck to Dolph Ziggler and see what he does with it in a ring." Than for Bill Goldberg to keep getting these fucking nostalgia spots on a WWE pay-per-view.
So here's the question, and this is one of the reasons I really, really like Riddle, and I think Riddle versus Cole may be the next NXT feud we get. Not to go down like a off on a tangent or anything, but is Riddle one of the first people we've had in a while that can essentially say with approval, I guess, say what they want because they can back that shit up. They can literally beat your ass like legit. Like,
dude, Riddle would fuck Goldberg up in a heartbeat.
God. You bet. He broke someone's jaw in his first fucking UFC match, didn't he? Something like that.
I don't track UFC. I couldn't tell you, but it sounds like something that could happen. But I mean, not only that, dude, but like all of his kicks are legit. Like the dude was a legit badass. The only reason he didn't make it in UFC is because he liked to smoke weed. And let me tell you, smoking some weed ain't gonna stop Bill Goldberg from getting his big dumb ass whooped. So yeah, sorry. When you're that jack dude, you really don't move that fucking fast. So Matt Riddle's gonna knock your ass out before you can react. You fucking over-proteined piece of shit.
Can we just make the rest of it just Chase talking about Bill Goldberg?
Dude, I could record an hour-long video by myself talking about how much I fucking hate Goldberg. I'll probably talk a little bit about Brock Lesnar too, but Goldberg will get 95% of it. At least Brock Lesnar does long wrestling matches. He actually can wrestle. He just doesn't want to.
Oh shit! Wait a minute. Did we didn't discuss our picks, right? Lynch. We all had Lynch on the first one.
Yeah, we all said Lynch and we all said Goldberg.
We all had Goldberg.
Yeah, I'm not a fucking idiot. I don't like Goldberg. It doesn't mean I'm going to shoot myself in the foot despite him.
Yeah.
Next up, though, to move on from all this rage that I have for Bill Goldberg, since we're already at the half-hour mark for this video.
Jesus.
Ricochet versus AJ Styles. This was a solid match. Ricochet had some really solid ring gear. Ethan, you shared in our Discord channel. Ricochet legit got Nightwing trending on Twitter. And we mentioned on the last review about the Vince McMahon Googles Twitter page. Do you want to share with us the tweet that came from this match? Because it's one of my favorite things.
Let me see. If y'all have it, go ahead.
I've got it. I just didn't know if you remember what it was off the top of your head. So
I want to get it. I want to get it word for word.
It is word for word.
Okay.
I got it word for word, dude. I won't forget. It's fucking hysterical. So Ricochet comes out in the Nightwing gear, and there's a Twitter account called Vince McMahon Googling. Is that what? So it's Vince McMahon Googling, and the tweet that he sent out was, "What the fuck is a Nightwing?" Oh man, and it's so good because it's so accurate. Guaranteed Vince McMahon has no idea who Nightwing is. It is very common knowledge at this point that Vince McMahon has no idea about the outer workings of the world. If it's not pertaining to the WWE, he doesn't know about it.
You need to, yeah, that's a huge shout out. Anybody that has not seen, which I'm pretty sure most people within the internet wrestling community have already seen it, but you need to get on this. Vince McMahon Googling. It's, let's see, it's literally at Vince Googling. Features highlights like this one on 4/7. Are Lynch and Rollins gonna fuck on top of all my belts tonight? Just do it. Just follow it. Follow that shit.
But I talked about this in our Discord last night.
I know it's you.
I know who Nightwing is, but I did not play through Arkham Knight, so I did not see that costume. So
I feel like the logo is pretty prominent though. Like, I don't know. I'm also a big DC comic fan, so yeah, and I know Ethan is as well.
I'm not real big on comics, but I know characters at least, or at least most of the main ones. But I missed the costume reference. I thought it was kind of cool that he did it after having explained to me what it was.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, that's cool. But God, that looked goofy as shit. You know, you were talking about in our NXT review how you thought that Gargano should have left the jacket on to complete his outfit. I really do wish Ricochet would have just done everything without the top on. Like, the effect was there. Let it go.
Yeah. My wife saw him and she goes, and this is funny because she never really even watches Ricochet matches. She goes, why is he covering up that cool tattoo that he has? He doesn't need to cover up that cool tattoo. I was like, I mean, you're not.
he does have a cool tattoo. Like, yeah. It's very distinct and makes him stand out.
He looked like a third-rate Power Ranger, though.
He looked like he was just got done chasing somebody in a motorcycle chase scene.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, I gotta wrestle.
I'm gonna be late for SummerFest.
So the match for me though. So we actually talk about wrestling a little bit. I thought the match was completely fine. It didn't blow me away by any means. I thought it was. I commented that I thought it was a little strange to take out the leg of arguably, you know, one of the most athletic and acrobatic people on the roster. But at the same time, I felt like they told a good story with it, so I was okay.
Dude, and Corey sold the shit out of it on commentary. Man, where he was talking about doing the suplex, where he's like he has to try and post on an injured leg.
Yeah.
While holding up all that weight, I was like, man, Corey, you are fucking making this right now.
Yeah, and I thought the finish of the match was particularly good when Ricochet went for what was like a Phoenix Splash or God knows what.
Yeah, he went for a corkscrew off the top, and then AJ caught him.
AJ caught it into the Styles Clash. So I'm okay with it. it was kind of like I thought. Styles, probably gets to move forward with the program at least until it looks like they're teasing Balor coming, but when he does come back, definitely joining the OC.
I hope so. He's got to do something.
They had a tease in during the pre-show, I believe, where the OC said, "Hey, if you need us, we'll be there."
That's cool. I did not see that. Damn,
I didn't either.
another cool thing happened in the pre-show.
I love those things. I love the little tines like that. I mean, it's something they've done for forever and a damn day is tease them.
Yeah.
Like with the too sweet me shit.
Yeah.
Like they've done that backstage for a couple years now at least. So I would love to see it finally just happen.
That'd be nice. All 4 of them together.
And did AJ on his entrance? Did he do the guns?
Oh,
Could have swore I saw him do the guns.
I don't know.
If he did, he probably didn't do like finger guns. He probably did something like basically.
There was a point. He did his whole hold the arms out, throw up the hood, and then that.
I'll have to go back and look at that. That would surprise the shit out of me.
Like the first time, he didn't go back to it, but I'm pretty sure I saw him do that. I was like, "Hey, that's a nice little call."
That would really surprise me, but that would be awesome.
But I mean, tie that in with MG being on Anderson's pants. I mean,
yeah, true. And I think that's good too. I really like the Machine Gun Anderson reference.
Chase, did you and I have Styles in this one?
I think I went Ricochet. This is where I fucked up.
Yeah, even I had AJ with you.
Yeah,
damn it. Right. But yeah, so I think this is very much like the Cole Gargano feud. It's done. This is on its way downward now. It hasn't been bad, but it's clearly over. Time to move on. I don't want to see this happen again on Monday, or I guess today. Time is weird. I've been in like an alcoholic coma the past couple of days, man.
Hell yeah, brother! It's good shit.
Time is just a construct.
So. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. Of course, we get the beat down after the match. Gallows and Anderson come in. They hit the Magic Killer, and everybody stands tall. One thing I don't like is they didn't tease it. It was continued with Ricochet getting up again. Like, just let this be it. Ricochet's a new guy. It's not bad for him to get beat by literally all 3 members of the OC. It's not something you need to have a redemption.
And he's looked good through the feud. It's all right for the heels to be heels and put him down.
I mean, he actually won the title from AJ at one point. And I know that was before they formed the OC, but like, isn't that the point of the OC is together they're stronger than they are separate? Like,
yeah, 100%.
Play that off. Let it just be done. If AJ is gonna lose the belt, I don't know, man. Ban them from ringside in a Raw rematch. Let Ricochet win, but just let that be it. If they're gonna do it, do one more match. Let Ricochet win the title and move on. And the only reason that should be is if AJ is trying to go for a world title. That's it.
Yep.
But that ain't happening with Kofi, and I really don't think it's gonna happen with Seth yet either. So we got some time there. Next up, we got I actually like this backstage segment with the Street Profits. They're fucking gold regardless. But for them to be hanging out backstage, and first of all, I love that Montez Ford is constantly talking about how in love he is with Nikki Cross. I think that's amazing. I hope they play off on that. I hope during one segment they look over and it's Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss standing there, and Montez Ford just loses his shit. I think that'll be super funny. They don't have to play any more into it than that, but I think that's a moment waiting to happen. But Ric Flair shows up. They do a bunch of woos. Not a whole lot there, but it's really all that they needed.
Well, they had to keep it short so that Ric Flair didn't.
Have a heart attack, end up in a hospital. Well, Ric Flair probably also started drinking whatever is in Dawkins' cup, and they can't show that they're letting Ric Flair do all this partying at such an old age. So I get that. He's already openly said he's not going to stop doing what he's doing. Basically, he's just going to live a terrible life until he dies. So I don't feel bad for Ric Flair anymore. He can do whatever he wants. He's a grown-ass man, but he's made his choice.
Yep.
Sorry. I was worried when he got put in the hospital. When he came out and clearly said, I don't give a fuck. You're on your own. Sorry.
Yeah.
Please don't start a fucking Kickstarter or a GoFundMe. Because I won't. I'm not going to get you another liver so you can destroy it. Next up, SmackDown Women's Title match: Ember Moon versus Bayley. Completely unimpressed with this.
It was such a fucking dud, man.
Both
I
of
was
them are great
expecting
wrestlers,
so
but
much more.
Yeah,
like,
you said you thought it could potentially be match of the night, right?
dude, yeah.
I said I thought it was a sleeper for the pick. Yeah, I 100% thought it could happen. And then I forgot that this wasn't NXT, so Bailey just doesn't know what the fuck she's doing all of a sudden. It all just looked kind of sloppy.
Yeah.
It was all very half-assed. I was just super disappointed. So disappointed with it.
Bailey's a sloppy wrestler. I don't. That's what the point that I made. I didn't watch enough of her NXT stuff.
She was crisp in NXT.
But she since debuting on the main roster, regardless of anything like to do with her gimmick, her ring work is sloppy, man. It's sloppy.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's why it's so long before she got a legitimate push or anything.
I mean, she's also she's clearly the lesser of the four NXT horsewomen. When you can put a title on somebody, why wouldn't you put it on Charlotte Flair or Sasha Banks or Becky Lynch first? Sasha Banks, clearly, the reason that Sasha Banks got as over as she did is because she has a mass appeal with kids. The problem is she can't go in there and do these flashy moves like John Cena does, these impressive feats of strength. She doesn't have a way to back it up, and if she does, she hasn't found it yet. So I don't know. I definitely thought that her time as champion was transitional, but that's clearly been proven to not be the case.
Oh, it is. She's I mean, in a sense, because Clash of Champions. Clash of Champions?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the fuck. I need to just bring up a card that says the name of this. It's in Charlotte, man. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina. We know.
Oh yeah, so that's definitely happening. And that's why they didn't do the match at SummerSlam is because
exactly.
Yeah, that's definitely happening then. Another way I could see it going is if we get a Sasha Banks return tonight. Do Sasha Banks versus her. But yeah. I think Sasha Banks being on Bayley's side is helpful because if they do throw the belt onto Charlotte at Clash Night of Champions, then you then have the Best Friends tag team back, and have them go against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and that could be a really solid feud going forward for a set of belts that nobody gives a shit about right now.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, it just came out as news that Vince didn't even want the women's tag team titles. He pushed for them to not get made, and then ultimately it was something they had to do, I guess, to appease a network, or someone convinced Vince it was a good idea. But to start off, he was completely against it. He was like, "There's no fucking way." But yeah, Bayley retains. I definitely think I got this point right. I can't remember.
I think we all.
Yeah, you got this. I was the only one that took. I took Ember Moon.
Okay.
I mean, you had to be wrong about something, right? Yeah, didn't happen a lot, but good on you for giving one to us just to make it look like it was a competition. Real nice of you. But next up,
we should have counted NXT.
Whatever. I probably still would have lost. You said that it would have put you at the bottom, but that math doesn't add up to me. But so next up, I don't know, brother. We get Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon. During our predictions, we all talked about how Shane was probably going to have interference due to like Drew McIntyre or Elias or whatever. What we didn't call was Elias just being the ref, the special guest enforcer, being the referee. So Elias came out. He was there literally the whole match. So there was no surprise interference. It was just interference.
I honestly tuned completely out for this match. I knew if I saw the ending, that would tell me all the story I needed to know. And I know all the spots, and I know all Shane McMahon's spots. So I just tuned out.
Yeah. I will say there were a couple good things in here. At one point, Shane McMahon teased going for a sharpshooter, and the crowd got so fucking mad. Um, that was brilliant on his part. I am not a fan of Shane. I think he also needs to go away. Um, but that was whoever told Shane to do that, because I don't think he's clever enough to do it on his own. It wasn't a coast to coast, so he probably had zero interest in it. But whoever told Shane, hey, go for a sharpshooter in Canada, brilliant. It's probably Kevin Owens, honestly.
Yeah, probably so.
But Owens blocks it and did a pop-up power bomb. But of course, Elias didn't count it. Ultimately, Owens tosses Elias over the timekeeper area, goes back in, hits a stunner, and pins him. We had a regular ref to count the fall. Honestly, I feel like this is such a giveaway. As soon as the regular ref was there, it's like, okay, well, Kevin Owens is definitely still going to win. The whole point to have this heel ref in the ring is...
I thought that they did a decent job at building it up as like Owens. There were a few times where, because Owens is one of the few guys who really sells with facial expressions, like he's one of the few that does it really well anyway. There were a few points in the match where you could see on Owens' face, like, well, what the fuck do I have to do? Like, how am I even like supposed to win this? Because look at this shit. And I thought it came across pretty well. By no means was it a phenomenal match, but I think it did what it had to do. I think Owens is the most over guy in the company right now. And fucking kudos to him.
And it's only getting better.
Yeah, like they're booking him well. If this is the end of Shane, which I know it's probably not, but if it's the end of Shane, it does make some of the past things with Shane go down a little more easily going forward for me. Like, if you're just building him up as the mega heel to put Kevin Owens over to just skyrocket him, okay. I take back a few things that I've said in the past about Shane not needing all this. If they do this right, cool. All right. I'll let him slide with it. Because Kevin is in a really great spot now.
We'll see. I think what we get next is probably a rematch, but where both of them have their job on the line. Because Shane made sure to say, I have no reason to put my job on the line.
Shane is one of the reasons I stopped watching SmackDown. So he's completely ruined. I mean, it was already bad. It's amazing. It's one of those situations where, of course, this is my opinion, but you think something can't get worse, and then it does. So I'm ready for him to go away. I don't think he will. Clearly, they said not only that. He's pretty much signed right now as as talent.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a backstage role.
And that right now, along with Owens and one other person I can't remember off the top of my head, but along with Owens, that basically McMahon has been having the most input for creative. Like, they've been essentially taking everything that he comes up with.
Yeah, it's Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, and Shane McMahon that are pitching their own storylines. Somebody made a joke, and I can't remember who it was, but it was super funny. They're like, it's been reported that Shane McMahon also has his own input in creative, but to counter that, Kevin Owens' input has been stunnering the shit out of Shane McMahon every chance he gets. So I was like, yeah, that's fair. But yeah, man, nothing terribly interesting here. Luckily, Kevin Owens did win.
Thank goodness.
Because maybe we'll get I don't think Shane McMahon will go away, but maybe we get some less of Shane McMahon, and I think that is again, that's an uphill. It's not where it needs to be, but it's on its way. Next up, we get Charlotte Flair versus Trish Stratus. Trish wrestled surprisingly well for someone who has not been in the ring for a long time. You can tell she did her homework. You can tell she legitimately cared about doing it, and it wasn't for the paycheck. Although I'm sure that's what got her there. But she did it to have this great match with this great wrestler, and you could see. And I thought that is that's a breath of fresh air. This is not the Goldberg match again.
Yeah, she was in great shape. She took it seriously. She did a good job. We knew that Charlotte was going to go over.
Yeah,
She did a good job at putting her over, I guess. But overall, I mean, I didn't have any issues with it. It was kind of there, a good nostalgia kick for the people there.
definitely. And I will say, Trish, because she is a yoga instructor, she does the figure eight better than Charlotte Flair does. When she arched, I thought she was gonna snap her own body in half. Like, so impressive. She was basically standing up on her fours and arching her back. And at one point, like when she first did it, it was Charlotte's figure eight, and then to show her up, she like stretched even further, and I thought that was a really nice touch because it was her way of saying, "Hey, anything you can do, I can do better."
Yeah.
But yeah, I did not hate the match. I was really worried when they didn't let Trish do anything on Raw that she wasn't ready to wrestle, that she couldn't wrestle. But clearly that was not the case. So very thankful for that.
No, that was 100% just to have an excuse to have Trish on TV, but not have her actually do anything until a pay-per-view. Smart move. And I will say that's about the only opinion I have on this. Unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties, I missed this match. I got to go back and watch. So I'm going to just kind of sit here and be quiet
now. One more shout out and we'll move on. This match actually did get a "This is awesome" chant toward the end, so I think that says all you need to do, especially with how fickle WWE crowds are these days, which understandably.
But, oh shit! I do want to mention before we move too far along. Oh wait, never mind. We're not there yet. Never mind.
Okay.
You're just talking about the crowd. I remember the chant. I was like, ooh, we got to bring this up.
So at the end, Trish gets a "Thank you, Trish" chant, and yeah, that's it. That's her last match. So she says, but the match against that she did already was supposed to be her last match. So who knows? Nobody stays retired in wrestling. Even Shawn Michaels swore he would, and that motherfucker did it for blood money. Worst match ever. Seth Rollins is backstage, and Bret Hart shows up to talk to him. He says, "Hey man, hope you beat Brock Lesnar," and basically being a good wrestling dad. Good job, Bret Hart. Real stoked for you there. Next up, WWE title match: Randy Orton versus Kofi Kingston. This is a match that when they first started teasing, I was like, "Oh, great! They're gonna have Randy Orton beat him." And the build started off slow, but then they started doing these really great promos for this match. The ones about stupid, stupid, stupid. Randy Orton talking about how he made Kofi Kingston. Kofi talking about how Randy Orton held him down for 11 years, but he's here now and he's not going to get held down anymore. Really, really good banter from both sides going into this match. So I was actually, I think it's pretty safe to say this is the match I was most excited about.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to save the, but yeah, that's the match itself wasn't bad. I thought they had really nice back and forth. Oh, excuse me. They're both great wrestlers. They even surprised me with the RKO out of nowhere because the thing is the RKO from when someone's doing a top rope move always looks so contrived. Like they're doing a jump they normally never would do. But Kofi did the crossbody that he always does, and Randy was in position to take it, and then last second actually jumps out of the way and RKOs him. So I actually got a nice pop out of that.
Yeah,
that's the way that the out of nowhere should be. It should actually be out of nowhere. Kind of like when Seth Rollins went for a curve stomp and he launched him up at WrestleMania and hit him with the RKO.
God, it's still the best one I've ever seen.
Definitely, but things like that are what make that so memorable. So this was a really good one. I thought he did a great job there. But ultimately, the finish, real fucky. That's the word I'm going to use, fucky.
Yeah, it's weird, wasn't it?
I didn't even know. It was so bad that I didn't even know what it was until I started reading about it.
That's why it was fucky. Because you had to tell me
DQ
because we were in the Discord and I was like, did he just get disqualified for punching Randy Orton?
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
he was like, I don't know, maybe it was a closed fist. Maybe they're enforcing that rule finally. I was like, man, this is some bull. And people started chanting
Well,
bullshit immediately.
Yeah.
in our defense, not even the collective majority of Twitter thought it was a DQ as well.
Yeah.
So the double count out people were definitely in the minority, which they were right.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a closed fist DQ, and I was like, what?
So I'm sure the
It
people in
seemed real
attendance
weird.
could see it, but the problem is the referee was completely off camera. He wasn't counting audibly enough for it to be heard over all the shit going on with Kofi and Randy and his kids. Um, it's just
Funky.
there was no context to it. So when the double count out happened, how could we have possibly known? They were chanting bullshit, and they were chanting bullshit because it was double count out, which I get, but it's less bullshit than what we got at home. What we got at home was that somehow a disqualification happened or some kind of weird screw job angle, um, which was more bullshit. So I was more into their chant than I think even they were, as a viewer from TV.
I mean, I could hear the chant, or I could hear the count. To me, it seemed very much like one. I did miss part of this match, but I did see a lot of the closing sequence. When he hit the RKO, I was like, "Oh, that's a really good RKO spot." Oh wow, someone's actually just gonna roll out of the damn ring from it. Also good. That's also good. Good storytelling on Kofi's part. Good job. I like that. And then they go outside of the ring, and the count starts, and I hear like 3 and 4. And I didn't really hear anything else. And the announcers are talking about, oh, how Orton's taunting his family at this point, and da 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 da. And then you hear 8, 9, or at least that's what I heard. I was like, okay, so they're still counting. All right, well, are they going to get back in the ring now? Because it seemed like they were, like Orton was gonna just at that point roll him back in. That's what I thought was going to happen. It's what I expected to happen. Is it was just going to be a rolling back in, finish the match, go home. Nope, didn't get that. Got a 10 count.
Well,
Ding, ding, ding. I was like, okay.
And not only that, but I mean, you bring up a good point because that would speak to the fact that commentary didn't reference it either.
Yeah, they didn't talk about it at all.
There was no urgency, like Randy needs to get his head in the game and get Kofi back in the ring if he doesn't want to. I'm like,
well,
no.
it goes into that production thing I was talking about earlier. And I'm gonna save it, but maybe put a little pin in this. I want to save the comments I have about the production.
Well, I mean,
we're here in a little bit.
You mean like the production of the matches themselves?
No, I look at, when I say production, I'm talking about commentary. I'm talking about like video angles. I'm talking about a few different things, like the overall, like how we consume the product. Yeah. Like what affects that, how we consume it. Like, we complain a lot about AEW's camera angles and their camera work being a little wonky and how they need to figure that out. Well, I think that the production team, or that the announce team specifically, they did do a couple of really good things in this show, but they also had a couple of colossal failures. This being one of them. They should have mentioned like, oh, the referee's on 7. They're still just out there. What's going on? Are we gonna have a break? What's up? Like any reference to that count would have made that make more sense for everybody and make it a lot less confusing.
Every single person.
And it's just like a sentence and it's done.
Yeah.
But they got so wrapped up in trying to add shit to the story where they didn't really need to do it. They were trying to overproduce the segment, and that's kind of the problem I have with commentary in WWE is they do a lot of overproducing with commentary. Sometimes you just need to shut up and let the action happen. Let the action speak for itself. Cool. You could have mentioned at like the 4 count, oh, they're in front of Kofi's family. All right. The taunting makes sense. Now let's bring up how the ref is at 8.
Yeah.
And how they're about to get counted out. It's not that hard. just cut out all that useless jabber.
See, what I would say, and I would say I definitely agree, but I would say to that is not to go off, on a tangent, but I definitely think after watching AEW and seeing how much work they need to do and probably still how far away they're going to be from being at, that level of production, honestly makes me feel, you know, hearing Corey Graves and Mauro, Ronaldo, I'm like, damn, this is what commentary should sound like. So I definitely think there are those things where they're still gonna miss, but like, give me that commentary right now in AEW, and you've got a just about a perfect product already, like at launch, pretty much. So
Yeah,
that's
a
my
few more
take on it.
cameras.
Yeah, more work on the camera angles and things like that, but I'm a allow those few misgivings on commentary, just for the total overall all quality between Graves and Phillips, Tom Phillips. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's my take.
I definitely think they could have thrown out a single sentence. Um,
Yep.
say something like, the count's getting high. Kofi has to decide if he's going to protect his family, if he's going to get back in the ring.
Yep.
Present the dilemma, because it is a moral dilemma, and that's the whole point. But if you don't talk about it at all they talked about it's how Randy's berating Kofi's family, and then all of a sudden we hear the bell. That's it, and it's like,
Yeah.
that is 100%. You nailed it, Jonko. That is what caused the confusion, and that's why everybody was like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yep.
Not a great start to this feud match wise. Obviously, we're gonna get another one. Um, it I can't help but think that this whole thing happened because they're afraid to let Kofi beat Randy, which is fucking insane. Like,
Well, I honestly think, and I will say that I feel this strongly about how badly the commentary fucked this up. I think that you have a different outlook on the story if they handle that scenario differently.
yeah,
Because
it could be a
it
good
makes
thing.
Kofi human. It makes him snapping make a lot more sense. Like, because I think that after everything that happened after the bell, great. Like, it makes Kofi look like he can actually do damage to the Randy Orton.
Well,
But
yeah.
it just, God, it just not letting, like, just giving what is needed and nothing more. I know it's a fine line from time to time, but I feel like that's one of those scenarios where it's pretty obvious that, okay, what are our plot points here? Family, the bell. The double count out is coming if they don't do something, but Kofi's family's right here. Sum it up, a sentence or two, move on, let the bell ding, and then let's talk about how Kofi's going off after the bell.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, dude, and not only that, but I saw people talking about it online as well, and it kind of felt that way for me. Is that in a sense you almost had a double turn because you had uh Kofi got booed at the end of that. Now Orton's been getting some nostalgia cheers just going into this match. Uh Now I don't trust WWE not to honestly ride with this or maybe have wanted this in the first place to get the belt on Orton so that you have that familiar face once again going into SmackDown. Now that's regardless that whether or not they have another draft or something to shake things up, I guess still remains to be seen, but I think a definite argument at the least could be made that after the way that match ended and after Kofi getting the booze, that you couldn't have a legit, you know, a reason to put the belt on Orton now and have it be justified in that sense.
I
I
don't see
think
that
That-
happening.
yeah.
I don't think those are
I
heel
think
boos. Those are this fucking sucked boos.
yeah, that's poor communication of the outcome of the match, booze. And in all fairness, from where I'm coming from, and that's a hard thing to to do and have come across properly live anyway.
Yeah. Well, so here's the
Like,
thing. At the end of a match, you have a guy known as a ring announcer who picks
yeah,
up the microphone, puts it to his face, and says,
double count out.
Yeah, this match has been ruled a double count out, but still the WWE champion, Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
Then you know what's going on, but he literally present, and you can do that while Kofi is kicking Randy's ass. There's nothing stopping him from doing that.
Yeah.
But they just didn't.
Well, what made it weird, and my worry, I guess, is that. So here's the thing. I guess I should say that I do feel like Orton. They're putting the belt on Orton at some point. That's my worry. That's what I don't want to happen. But so you have the bullshit chants, which are in regards to the match, completely understandable. I agree with y'all that I think the boos are in relation to the match, but they come in a way that they technically everything kind of died down for a bit. You have the attack with the kendo stick, and then they start booing louder, which again I would agree with y'all is for what's happening. But now you've got this fucking video package or whatever you need to cut with fans booing Kofi.
I don't know.
I'm a,
I mean, it's.
I'm terrified that they put the belt on Orton.
I think it's too hard to turn him heel because you have to turn the whole group heel. You can't have heel Kofi and face New Day going together.
Yeah, and New Day is so fucking over.
Yeah,
still.
they're still selling shirts and throwing pancakes. There's too much revenue in it. It's the same reason John Cena never turned heel. New Day had their heel runs, but now is not the time, man. They're selling more merch than ever with Kofi being champion. But just so that for the sake of time, because we are well over an hour now, and this next match we're probably going to talk a lot about. We're going to move forward. It was fucky. I guess this week will show us what that direction looks like. But next up on the card, I was going to say something, but I really don't know what to say. I don't know which direction it's really went in because it depends on who you ask. But we get The Fiend, Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor. First of all, the entrance. Holy shit. This like split fans. Everybody feels differently about it. One thing I don't think anybody split on, the lantern was fucking cool. Like the lantern is sick, right?
Was dope. The lantern was so dope. And I think that the presentation, even considering Finn Balor's been kind of booked wishy-washy as of late, I think you could just about put in any wrestler in that spot against Bray Wyatt with this character change, and just the sheer bewilderment of seeing that come out in front of you. Yeah, I could see how it would disorient the shit out of you. Like, solid. Fucking great.
Yeah, they did a really good job on the horror aspect of his character.
I got
the default Metal Pack 2 theme song.
Dude, from the lantern, I got a real God of War vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, carrying around.
It was like any horror movie where you see them like cut somebody's head off and just they're holding it by the hair. I just liked that it was like he killed his previous persona.
Yeah.
And now he's this fiend. The metaphor that came with it was really strong. Also, something that I haven't heard a whole lot of people talk about. I love that Finn Balor for this match was wearing all white. It definitely shows like this good versus evil, light versus dark. It puts him very clearly like, hey, I'm the good guy here. So I thought that was a really nice choice versus all the dark and the almost like gory appearance of Bray Wyatt's Fiend character. So it was a minor thing, but I thought it was a nice touch.
Yeah, I thought the entrance. I mean, as a huge fan of horror, I mean the entrance absolutely delivered.
Yes.
I really, actually really like the new theme. Being a remix of his old theme with its terrible ass lyrics, that aside from that,
I also like the theme.
The hurt heel worked for me big time. I got a big pop out of that. And because now that the very next time that you play it, the crowd gets to chant that as well.
Yes,
always a fun,
and they will, dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Match was what it was. It was a 3-minute 40-something second, of what it needed to be.
But there's something that needs to be mentioned though, as far as this match is concerned. There's a point where Bray was about to throw the Sister Abigail, and you see Balor get out of it, and then Bray just sits there and almost fights with himself for a second.
Yeah, in the corner.
Yeah, he starts fighting with himself, and then that allows Balor to make a little bit of a comeback, and then mandible claw, and he got the pin with the mandible claw. I thought that was a nice touch.
Put him out and pinned him with it instead of calling it a submission. Real quick before we go past it, at one point the Fiend grabs him like he's gonna do a sleeper hold, and then does like this neck snap move, and Balor just like goes limp, and I thought, wow, like that is so perfect for a horror gimmick. Nobody else in the entirety of WWE, maybe, and this is so loosely based that you would have to fucking explain it on commentary to get it over. Cesaro, when he had the 007 gimmick, when he had the Titantron where he came out and like tore the suit off, because he was like the Swiss assassin or whatever they decided to call him that 2 weeks. Maybe he could have done it as like like I'm a spy thing. But being this horror villain character and snapping someone's neck, like we've seen Jason do that. We've seen Michael Myers do that. Like that's something that a horror character actually does. So I thought it was a really nice touch. And when he did it, the crowd started chanting "Yowie Wowie." Like they're so into it. I love it.
I had to say though, I hope that spot doesn't stick around.
Dude,
it was cool. It was cool for this one time, but I can easily see someone with a pencil neck getting their shit snapped, being a little too into it. I can see lawsuits from kids doing it. And I hate to even look at things from that perspective, but I thought it was a cool spot for the introduction of the character. Let it go.
Natural selection, my dude. I love the spot. Do it every week. I hope kids do start snapping each other's necks, because then we don't have to worry about having a next John Cena. There's no kids at the shows.
Now that is a fucking hot take right
there.
Hell yeah.
Fucking spicy.
Dude, I'm just saying,
Jesus
like,
Christ.
if I have to choose between seeing all the lies that Donald Trump is putting out or the news is now suddenly filled with kids snapping each other's necks because Bray Wyatt, a horror character, is who they decide to emulate. Like, if that was the case, like, we would be like, oh, well, the third child stabbed their sibling today because they watched Halloween and realized they also didn't like their sister. I don't think that's so much. Kids don't necessarily want to do, like, they're never trying to kill their family member or whatever when these things happen. Usually it's a thing like a rock bottom and they hit bad, or a stone cold stunner and they want to do the cool guy moves. We would be more likely to see a news headline about like a kid F5ing their sibling. Curb stomp. A curb stomp would legit fuck somebody up. So I think Seth Rollins' move is more.
That's why they banned it.
Yeah, they banned it because of that reason. They were worried people would start doing it. I don't think the next snap is going to do that.
I just don't.
But if we do, again, dude, fuck yeah. I'm so ready for that. I just want one headline where somebody fucking tried to snap each. I hope the person doesn't die. I don't want anybody to die. I'm going to preface that. I should have said that at the start. I don't want anyone to die.
Sure.
But if they're like, a kid is in the hospital because their brother broke their neck trying to do a neck snap. Like, maybe there's literally a warning. Don't try this shit at home. Maybe be a good parent. Don't fucking leave your kids unattended. There's a lot of things that go into that has nothing to do with WWE or Bray Wyatt being a fucking horror character. If your kids
move on.
Yeah, if your kids don't emulate Michael Myers, they shouldn't emulate this character either. Nothing.
I agree. I agree with that.
I thought it was awesome. But we'll go back to the mandible claw because that's safer. Him actually, I thought they were gonna do the whole arm raise thing with Bray when he did the mandible claw.
I was so glad to see the pin.
But the fact that he did, it was like a cocky one-armed pin, but the arm just happened to be down his fucking throat.
Yeah.
Awesome. I loved it. The whole thing afterward I could have done without. The whole like flashing of the lights and the weird sounds and stuff. But the live crowd ate it up, dude. There was a "This is
Yeah.
awesome" chant the entire time. I don't know. I guess
That was
just,
a great presentation.
It was. It's just like we already did it. Like we know he's there. He should appear like that, not just fucking be posing like that just because they can. I don't know.
Yeah.
It felt
And
like
he
too
disappeared,
much.
right?
I mean, it didn't really disappear. They cut to a video package. Who knows? He probably just walked out.
Well, so they did the sound effects thing, had him doing his little pose in the ring. Then the lights went out, and then you see when everything comes back up, there's just like this wave of WWE officials and a dude in a hoodie running up the stairs.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And Finn Balor's just in the middle of the ring, and I thought this was also a nice little touch to the whole introduction of the character. Balor looked like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
What did I just experience?
I'm surprised he got up. They should have just sold it like carry him out.
Yeah.
But I can see it either way. The mandible claw is a well-known move. It never like permanently incapacitated anybody. It's one of those things like you lose consciousness. So I'm cool with it either way. I don't know. It caught me off guard in the moment that he got up. Definitely a great debut. I'm curious to see how they do this week to week because this feels very gimmicky. So he has to either grow.
I want to not see. I want the Fiend to be his version of the Demon. I don't want to see it for a little bit. I don't want to see it in promos. I don't want to see it unless he's attacking someone, doing that whole show up quickly, disappear quickly thing. Cool, but I don't want it to become a thing where he's getting like 10-minute in-ring promos or anything like that.
We're not going to get wrestling matches often. He's going to get pay-per-view wrestling matches. Everything else is going to be Firefly Funhouse or, like you said, the attack segments. I don't think we're getting regular matches with Fiend Bray Wyatt because that will absolutely kill the mystique of the character.
I hope that's how they go with it.
So one thing that's interesting, and this goes without saying, is that you're putting yourself in an interesting situation as far as his booking because you can't have anybody go over on him for a good bit. So do you put a belt on him? It's going to be interesting to see what's booked going forward because you want to keep him looking as strong as possible. And how do you do that when you've watered down just about everybody?
So
I'm really interested to see how it goes going forward.
I'll call it now. Build for a story for no belts involved, but him and Aleister Black at WrestleMania.
Oh, I think they're going to pull the trigger on this one. This is going to be a fucking Sheamus when he first debuted. He is literally the hottest thing on Raw right now, arguably the hottest thing on all of WWE TV, and we currently have a Universal Champion with no contender. I think this is going to be Bray's title run, and I think he's going to have a very Undertaker-esque title run. But who knows, man? Who knows? I could be jumping the gun on that. But they put him over so strongly on a guy who is a former Universal Champion, former multiple-time Intercontinental Champion. He's not a nobody, and he's definitely not been brought down to Dolph Ziggler's level yet. I think that's where they go.
I've definitely got a talking point for you on the next one then, because that's kind of transitioning into one of my main questions I have.
Okay. Then let's go on to the next one. Because I feel like this won't have as much time talking, but I do want to make sure we get it out there and have a good amount of time to talk about whatever. Final match on the card: WWE Universal Title match: Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar. Ultimately, Rollins does go over on Lesnar, which is surprising. This really fucked me. So thank you, WWE, for booking this correctly. The one time I don't need you to. Also, thank you to Ethan for fucking getting me to change my answer at the end of the prediction show.
I'm just gonna sit over here in my aura of correctness. I'm gonna say, duh. Who didn't? I would say who didn't see this coming, but I'm looking at two people right now that.
Dude, I don't. I think you are alone in you thinking this is obvious. Yeah, very much so.
That's how my brain works, though. If I think something's obvious, I think everyone should think it's obvious.
we had no precedent for this going into this match. We had no reason to believe that WWE could properly book a face win against somebody of that caliber, in my opinion. Um, I I hadn't seen Lesnar even do the job for anybody since I got back into wrestling.
Yeah.
So you had that aspect of it
I mean,
in a hat,
he
but
lost at Mania, but it was also a quick match that he lost. Like
exactly.
Rollins put the
Yeah.
moves in real quick and they finished it, so
Yeah.
that he could
So
get the fuck out of there. But this was a much different match.
Yeah, and in all fairness, I 100% on all just about all of this. I haven't been watching the product. I based most of my predictions on forecasting based on the news. Like I didn't really consider how they've been booking television.
oh yeah, I mean I don't keep up, like I said,
And
actively with it. But
that's kind of why I picked Seth Rollins, because it was like, all right, this story comes out because, or where they're trying to make him look cool, and then there's the WWE 24 the WWE 24 Seth Rollins special, and like all these other little, oh look.
Oh, what the fuck? What? Uh, all right. Gonna be just a sec here, boys. Oh my goodness! Wow! 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 Hey, did that
what the
kick you guys out too?
yeah, what
Yeah.
was that?
Must have been Discord because my internet never cut out.
Yeah, the live
My,
stream
my,
was just showing
Yeah,
Discord
my
loading thing.
Discord channel.
are we
That's
still
super
recording?
cool. Yeah, we are through all of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Excellent.
great.
But
But no,
that's life.
no, I based
It's like
I
AEW,
based
it's fine.
my my predictions off of all the news surrounding Seth Rollins more than I did how they've been booking him.
So okay, so I was very surprised because I was jokingly telling people like, okay, so here's what has to happen for Rollins to get back in good graces and be the face if they're gonna push him. He has to go over and beat Lesnar clean. It has to look him blah blah blah. And I'm like, and we know that's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
So that's why I picked Lesnar.
and you
But they
sold me on it.
fucking did it.
You
They
were
did
so
it though.
convincing.
So here's the thing though. You finally you did what you needed to do to establish him as if you want him to be a face. You also set him up to, if he wanted to tonight, come out and say, fuck you guys. You didn't have my back, blah, blah, blah. You know, all my doubters, I proved y'all wrong. You have your top heel champ as well. Which one do you want to take? I've got a question to pose to y'all, which if you want to talk a little bit about the match first, that's fine. But I just want to run through this list of possible opponents.
I honestly, I don't think there's a ton to talk about.
I
Personally.
disagree. I think if he stays face, Fiend is a great one. If he goes
I'm
heel,
saying like
Kevin Owens,
the
man.
match. I'm saying with the match, I don't think there's much to talk about.
Oh yeah. I can sum this up real quick. Suplex City, some German suplexes. Some there was some F5 stuff. There's some
spots.
curb stomp stuff. Yeah, some false finishes, and then of course we get the actual curb stomp that finishes him, and that's it. He's new champion. As fans chant, "Burn it down."
So here's what I wanna ask then. Okay. First of all, if Chase, going off what you said, if you do push the Fiend, if you push Bray Wyatt, then I guess basically they just wanted the belt off Lesnar last night so that he didn't go over Lesnar. And you basically would have to say Rollins, I guess, in that sense, is a transitional champ.
No, so I think the word transitional champ focuses more on the person and not how long they've had the belt. There have been great wrestlers who have held the belt for a single month. and it doesn't by any means make them transitional because John Cena has probably had at least one short title run, but he's also the guy who's had the most title runs.
Yeah, I mean, he had the last one where he dropped to Wyatt.
Yeah,
That was super short.
yeah, that was literally a month. That was
But
literally a month, so that
yeah,
counts.
but you have right now. So let me just you've got Corbin, Lashley, Strowman. This is just the top singles on Raw, and this is again assuming they don't have another a redraft.
Mm-hmm.
Corbin, Lashley, Strowman, Wyatt, Cesaro, Lesnar, McIntyre, Miz, Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, Bobby Roode, and Samoa Joe. That's your list of competitors. Who the fuck do you put against Rollins if not the Fiend? I mean,
That's what I'm saying. It
McIntyre.
has
It
to
has
be.
to be McIntyre. If not,
I think McIntyre needs some work. Otherwise, we know who's going over that match. That's not even a question. They're not letting current McIntyre beat anybody.
so we should find
Literally
out
anybody.
tonight. But we should find out tonight.
I would say so. I think if it's gonna be Fiend, we'll at least get a tease. But I think it'll probably be teased at the end of the show.
I don't see him doing it that quickly with Wyatt, but
that's where I'm at.
I've been wrong. What I can see happening is as we get closer to Survivor Series, and mind you, this is super hardcore fantasy booking. Balor is on SmackDown right now, right?
Well, he's nowhere. He's probably off for the next.
He's off for the next couple months. Yeah, he's not wrestling anymore. He took 60
That's
days
right.
off.
That's right. He's got the vacay. So that would put him coming back right before Survivor Series. Then, if I'm not mistaken, is my math off there?
It depends on how long he stays off.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be up to him.
I think it's supposed to be 2 months straight, but
what I would like to see
he's not
happen
being used. He could stay longer.
What I would like to see happen is, AJ and the club go strong with their belts. They keep them all, whatever. And come Survivor Series, you get Balor into the title scene somehow, and you don't see any real signs of any sort of interactions with the OC. But during the match, they get involved to get Balor the Universal title again, and you have the OC holding all the gold. I know it's probably not going to happen, but I think it would be cool.
The only flaw I see in that is, at that point, that's AJ saying that he's not the leader of this group. If you give Finn, I think we see AJ drop the belt, or when Balor comes back, have AJ just do like a finger poke of doom type spot. Have AJ purposely give up the belt, and then go onto the Universal title. Have him, because it's some dickish heel stuff to do. Hey, this guy's with us now. True. And have that be how they introduce him into the group. Literally have them look like they're gonna fucking square off. They tell Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows to stay away from ringside. This is something they have to settle themselves. They go out there. It has a very serious feel. As soon as the bell rings, AJ just lays down. And then after he wins, they get up, they too sweet, and then they ambush the champion at the end of the night. I mean, that's not a perfect booking. I can see it going your way. I just don't see AJ being like, hey, you deserve this top title. Because he's the leader of the group, but 2, he's also like a multi-time world champion now.
Yeah.
I don't see him just letting that go.
So, I'm going to say, in terms of opponents, depending on whether or not Rollins goes heel or stays face, which I'm assuming he's going to stay face. Otherwise, I think it's a weird build towards having him immediately go heel. I'm going to say McIntyre, just out of sheer not having anybody else. I mean, Joe. No, the thing is, and saying these names is like, I don't feel good about any of these in terms of long-term feuds. Cesaro, like, I want Cesaro versus Rollins, at least for a bit. But then again, like, it's been booked. He's been booked like ass. So what do we get out of the belt on Rollins right now is what I'm waiting to see. Why did we put it on him? Were we just trying to get it off Lesnar, or what are we doing?
Yeah, I honestly don't know where the story goes from here because you don't get anything off of him being champ except for the fact that it's Seth Rollins being champion. He's cool. Remember, he's a champ. Um,
One thing I think that may be worth considering is like, no, I don't know, not necessarily. I was gonna say like a call up or something, but I don't really see anybody getting called up.
Even if they
I
do,
mean,
they're not going to immediately go for a world title.
I, th-
That generally
I
doesn't
think you,
happen.
yeah, I think you have to really look at the prospect of a redraft or another like a final mix up
There's
going into the
there's got to
SmackDown.
be some sort of shakeup before they go into the Fox era.
Honestly, if we were to pull up a roster right now, I don't think even a shakeup would help. They need to accept the fucking fact that they have to build stars.
Yeah,
This is why
Yeah,
they keep falling on these nostalgia acts because they haven't built anybody, and the ratings are low because nobody cares about the wrestlers they have because they all get beat by the same two dudes. Maybe stop feeding everybody to Reigns. Maybe stop feeding everybody to Lesnar. Maybe stop pulling all these great wrestlers into the fucking this mid card faction that Baron Corbin and Shane McMahon somehow
yeah,
have total
Lashley too.
control over, even though neither of them technically have positions of power.
Well,
Uh,
you said one thing too, Chase. You said a good point, I think, about maybe we're trending in the right direction, or maybe things are getting a little bit better. And if that's the case, then I think you have to say, arguably, this is one of the best. Having Rollins go over last night is one of the best face bookings in quite a while because WWE has not been able to develop a face at all.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
if they
Roman
can pull
Reigns.
this,
People might not consider
yeah.
him a face, but WWE definitely does.
Exactly. But so if you can come out of this with a top face and you can actually keep building on Rollins' momentums, and that's what they want to do, I think this is a really good opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
Coming off of that, I mean, it was the exact kind of win that you needed your top face to have. So
yeah.
Um, and who knows? Maybe next pay per view there's not a world title match. You know, back in the day when everybody was a star, they would do these things like, oh, you know, at this pay per view the main event is going to be the Undertaker and Triple H versus Stone Cold and Mankind.
yeah,
And they would build these like they would have these interesting stories going on, and this is crazy. So follow me. But they would make you actually care about all four wrestlers and then put them in a tag match as a main event, and there'd be no title on the line. This is just two groups of two people that hate each other, and they have to team up to beat the hell out of the other guys. And it's entertaining because you've
yeah.
invested us. Again, sounds crazy, but it
Well,
just might work.
But don't forget that every belt is going to be defended on the next pay-per-view.
I think that you
You're
have
right.
to kind
God
of.
damn it.
Yep.
I think that you have to kind of just look at it as like take Clash of the Champions or Night of Champions, whatever the fuck
Yes.
they're calling it now, and take
Clash of
that.
Champions. Yep.
Um,
The night of the Clash of Champions. Yeah,
you
2019.
know, if this show truly is a trend in the right direction, um, we've got to kind of look at it through the lens of I don't think this is a show that you can give a fair review to until we go like 3 months into the future and see where they are then and say, all right, this was the turning point.
I don't know
Um,
about that. I think we can still fairly review this show. Again,
I,
the show's average. Um,
yeah, but I think we look back on it and it's either gonna age really well and you're gonna be able
Yeah.
to say like this was the start of things getting better,
I agree with you.
or you're gonna look back and say, wow, that was a pretty good show
We're treading waters
in
here.
the midst of a really shitty time.
if that's the case, then I'll say this. This is the detriment to it. This is SummerSlam.
Yeah,
SummerSlam is not the build up show. SummerSlam is
Yeah.
the payoff show, and that's where they fucked up
historically.
with this. Um,
Historically, yeah, but I would say that they fucked up with that the second that they made the network a thing.
I mean, it's a big four
I'm just
regardless. They
saying.
they literally do a whole week of stuff leading up to it. If they were going to, that's like if we started all our new storylines the night of the Royal
Here
Rumble.
here's the
Like,
thing though. I 100% agree with you. The only reason that it gets a pass in my book, if you can give it one, is you say this is Heyman's first push. You know, this is Heyman's first
true.
at making things better. And
Yeah.
I think that would be the only reason. Now, I think John Co nailed it because it remains to be seen. We have to give fucking Rollins an opponent in a month, you know, which is
Fucking
going to be
Rollins.
whatever.
Yeah,
But
it's gonna take a little time to get out of the shadow of what's been going on.
exactly. And I think that's the perfect thing is do we now get out of that shadow or do we fall back where we've been?
Yeah.
Because you've got AEW starting in October. If you're gonna try to finally get out of that shadow, this is your time to do it. Otherwise, you don't have a chance.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
But we'll wrap it there. Real quick, guys. All of our social media links are attached to our camera frames, so if you want to follow us on social media, feel free to do so. But more importantly, follow all three of us at Smart Week on Twitter. Come talk wrestling with us. Comment below to let us know what you thought about the show, and as always, make sure to like and subscribe. Guys, once AEW hits, we just found out NXT is going to be on TV as well. There's going to be so much more content coming at you. I hope you guys enjoy this, and just know it's going to be blown up from here. So, for Smart Week, I'm Chase.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Jonko.
We'll see you next time.
Wait. Time out. I'm Jonko, your Smarky Weight champion.
Oh, fuck
shit.
you.
Oh,
Man.
Yeah.
We'll see you on I'll see you guys on the punishment show. Goodbye.